I'm doing fine. You're looking real good.
Yeah?
Real good.
All right.
Yeah. Big movie coming out.
Tennis are my neighbors, Marianne and Biff.
Marianne and Biff.
He walked on stage looking defeated before he even opened his mouth. That was the trick. That was the entire empire built on one simple lie, because the man who said he got no respect was, in reality, one of the most respected comedians to ever hold a microphone. Rodney Dangerfield didn't just tell jokes. He built a character so convincing that audiences forgot it was a performance. The tugging collar. The bulging eyes. The nervous energy of a man who genuinely believed the world was against him. And every single night, that character walked into rooms filled with legends and somehow stole the show without anyone noticing it happening. Take his appearances with Johnny Carson. This wasn't just a comedian doing a guest spot. This was a masterclass in timing, delivered to one of the toughest audiences in entertainment history, a late-night crowd that had seen everything. Carson, sharp and composed, would set up a simple question, and Rodney would flip it into chaos within seconds. That contrast is exactly why those clips still circulate decades later. One man representing control, the other representing beautiful, calculated disorder. And here's what most people miss. Rodney wasn't improvising blindly. Every joke about bad luck, ugly childhoods, disrespectful wives, and hopeless love stories was engineered. Structured. Rehearsed until it sounded spontaneous. He understood something most comedians never grasp, that self-deprecation only lands when the audience believes you actually mean it. He'd casually drop a name into a bit, some fictional doctor, some invented love interest, some background character that never existed outside of his imagination, and audiences would laugh not because the name was clever, but because of how ordinary and pathetic he made his own life sound in comparison. That was the genius. He turned himself into the punchline of every story before anyone else could. Even off stage, that same persona followed him. People who worked with him described a man who was warm, generous, endlessly supportive of younger comedians, the complete opposite of the miserable character he played for a living. He'd sit in the wings of a stage, laughing louder than anyone in the room, cheering on performers who hadn't found their footing yet. The man who claimed nobody respected him was quietly one of the most respected mentors in comedy. So why does this still matter today? Why do clips from decades ago still pull in millions of views? Because the formula never got old. Self-deprecation. Timing. A single signature line that became a cultural fingerprint. 3 words that could summarize an entire career and still make a stranger laugh out loud in 2026.
Positively has to be there over.
Modern comedy tries to reinvent the wheel constantly. New formats, new platforms, new algorithms. But Rodney Dangerfield proved something that's still true today: audiences don't need complexity. They need a character they believe in, a rhythm they can follow, and a punchline that lands exactly when they expect the setup to fail. That's the part creators today keep missing. They chase trends instead of building a persona people actually remember. Rodney built one character and repeated it with such consistency that decades later, people who've never seen a single full special of his still recognize his voice, his posture, even his tie. Think about what that means from a content perspective. One identity. One catchphrase. One consistent emotional angle, repeated across hundreds of appearances, refined every single time. That's not luck. That's a system. And it explains why compilations of his old interviews are still exploding across platforms right now. It's not nostalgia alone. It's because his structure still works on a modern audience raised on 15-second attention spans. Quick setup. Immediate punch. No wasted words. No slow build-up. Just rapid-fire disappointment delivered with a smile. There's a lesson buried in every single one of his old talk show appearances, whether people realize it or not. The lesson is this: audiences don't remember jokes. They remember characters. They remember a feeling. And Rodney Dangerfield made an entire career out of making millions of strangers feel like they were in on the joke with him. He wasn't the strongest storyteller in the room. He wasn't the smoothest talker. But he was the most consistent performer of his generation, because he understood exactly who he was on stage and he never, ever broke that character, not even for a second, not even when the crowd was already laughing before he said a word. That's the real reason this content still performs. Not because it's old. Not because it's rare. But because it's built on a formula so tight that even without context, without knowing who Johnny Carson was, without knowing the era, without knowing anything about the world it came from, a brand new viewer scrolling through their phone today still laughs. And that's the final point worth remembering. Legacy isn't built by being liked by everyone in the room. It's built by being unforgettable to the people who happen to be watching. Rodney Dangerfield walked into rooms acting like nobody wanted him there, and decades after he's gone, people still can't stop watching him. If a performance can still generate reactions this strong, this many years later, without a single modern edit, without a single trend attached to it, that's not comedy. That's a blueprint. And blueprints like that don't expire.